What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is iRunShib, or Shib for short. The goal of the video today is to give you my opinion on these classes, kind of give you a feeling of how they play, where they excel, how hard they are, and just in general, who do you want to main in this game? So off the rip, there are 5 professions in Lost Ark. There's the warrior, the martial artist, the gunner, the mage, and the assassin. I've spent a lot of time, hundreds and hundreds of hours in this game, and I've tested out all the classes in some variation or another, at least in the testing room, and I've obviously played with every class at some point. 5 professions in Lost Ark: warrior, martial artist, gunner, mage, assassin. I'm moving my head real quick so you can see all the names. And there are various subclasses within each profession. So it is crucial to know this. Every class can be good if you are good at that class. I need you to know that, because I've seen people that are classes that I would never expect to dominate me in PvP or PvE do so just by being very proficient and good at that class. The first subclass under warrior is Berserker, and in my opinion, Berserker is by far the easiest class to play. This guy hits hard, flashy moves, very, very good utility-wise. You always are going to have a good Berserker because it's tough to be bad as a Berserker. They've, like I said, very flashy moves. They excel in PvP and PvE. They're on your face and they're hitting you hard. Now we'll dive into the Gunlancer, the beefy queef, as we like to call him. This guy's a difficulty of a 4. He is not too hard to play. He wields, as you could guess, a gun lance. But he is a very strong class as well. Most said there aren't really set classes in terms of healer, support, tank, damage dealer. Those don't really fit as much into this game. He is still what you would call the beefiest. His inherent ability is to put a shield on himself or to absorb damage for his allies. Can be really, really great in PvE content. The Gunlancer, although pretty easy to play as with a 4, he is difficult. He's the only class in the game with a taunt. He's great in PvE, and he's actually able to cancel boss mechanics. Obviously, the boss, you can't keep doing it. The boss will eventually learn and not allow you to do it, but you can cancel boss mechanics if you do it at the right time. So understanding that mechanic and when to stop the boss is crucial, especially in end game. In PvP, he's also a pain in the ass to deal with. He's great for peeling on those heavy hitting characters, those backline gunners. Very strong class. So I say Paladin for last simply because I want to make this statement. There are 2 healers in Lost Ark. Health is very important in this game. There are certain events where you are unable to use potions at all. You are only able, well, there are certain types of potions that can be used, but they're very expensive and tough to come by, and you want to make sure you reserve and save them. The Paladin is one of the 2 healers in the game that actually has a heal ability. No one else has heals, and they are very limited. Granted, he has a lot of buffs and stuff like that are going to help your team, that can ultimately lead to a better team comp. A Paladin's never going to hurt a team comp. Very desired class. They excel in PvP and PvE. I'd say they excel more in PvE. They require skill. Being a strong healer and knowing when to use CC, when to use buffs, when to use your heal, the right timing for execution. Like I said, excel more in PvE, more desired, just simply because they give you that heal. They'll prolong your existence in the game, keep your damage up on your team, fluid combos, knockdowns, pretty good CC abilities, and in no particular order. The next class we're going to dive into is the mage. Under the mage class is the summoner. So the summoner is, well, pretty self-explanatory. You summon, right? The havoc on the battlefield, clearing mobs, huge AoE attacks, very flashy, very cool looking. The problem with her is in order for her to excel in damage, you're going to have to be very good at the game, and therefore I give her skill level or difficulty level an 8.2. Like I said, not too difficult to play mechanically, but when you understand how to do a lot of damage on this class, it's pretty difficult. Like I said, large AoE attacks, fair amount of CC, more so an AoE mob clearing, stun-based, flashy move type of class. The next subclass to dive into under the mage class is the bard. The second and only other healer in the game has a heal, just like the paladin. The bard is very crucial to team comps. Strong, similar type of moves in terms of buffs to your party, heals to your party, defense, boons, shields, that kind of stuff, similar to the paladin. Very important. Pretty agile. I'd say a little more agile in terms of just keeping people away and CCing and soft CCing people. I'd say she is very strong in both PvE and PvP. You know, I'll give her a 7-8. A 7-8 on the difficulty. Not as difficult as the bard in terms of her abilities don't have as much sway. You don't have to focus on anything besides really just dodging and healing and buffing and using ranged abilities. Very cool class to play. as a selfish damage dealer, I appreciate the Paladins and the Bards of the world because they do a lot in these type of games and they get underappreciated. They also don't really fit into that archetype where they're not doing damage. They're also doing flashy, cool damage dealing moves that kind of help make it more fun to play these classes, in my opinion. Anyway, let's dive here into the martial artist. I believe that the martial artist, without a doubt, is the hardest set of subclasses in the game. We're into the Wardancer. The Wardancer uses light gauntlets, so essentially light boxing gloves. She's going to be very fast on the battlefield. She is going to be the class that is going to be hitting you quick, using a bunch of different moves and comboing like crazy. I'd say this is probably the hardest class in the game to really master with a 9.2 out of 10. It's the Bruce Lee kind of class. You're in there beating each other up using a lot of different combos. You've got to be very mechanically skilled to want to be top tier damage. PvP, you have a little more leeway with the classes. It's very mobile, but you can be a beast with this class if you understand it and understand the mechanics fluidly. You know what moves to use, what order to put them in. You can very much excel with this class, but like I said, it is very hard. Next, we'll dive into the Scrapper, which is essentially just the Wardancer, but with heavy gauntlets. They're slower moves, hard-hitting attacks, push potential, knockout, stun. It's got all of it under her arsenal. Not as tough of a class to play, but not as fast as of a class to play. 7 out of 10 in difficulty. You're going to do well in both PvP and PvE. I wouldn't say it excels in one over the other too much. It's pretty well-rounded in both, but I wouldn't say it's the end-all be-all class for either. It's not going to absolutely top-tier damage charts in the very, very top level on both, but it'll do well in either. Final subclass of the martial artist classes is the Soulfist. The Soulfist is a very strong avatar-looking class. I'd say it's an 8 to play. It's not the hardest class in the world to play, but it is a very tough class to master. It's similar to the Wardancer in that it has a lot of combos that need to roll off each other in order to be efficient in what you're doing in damage. Flashy-looking class, laser beams, elements, dashes, fighting, very interesting, fun class. I'm assuming a lot of people want to play this. Excels both in PvE and PvP. But once again, like I said, skill trumps all, so you can be trash for this class and you'll think it's garbage, but in the end of the day, just know that it's typically a strong class. The next class we want to dive into is the Gunner, with 4 subclasses. But one thing I want to make sure is cleaned up here is that the Gunslinger and the Deadeye are virtually the exact same class. They have a couple differences in moves, whereas the Gunslinger is better with her sniper slightly, and the Deadeye is better with his shotgun. Take here. So the Deadeye is going to be using 3 different weapons. He's got dual pistols, a shotgun, and a sniper. And your job as this class is to manage all 3 of those weapons. And for that reason, I say that this class, in order to be proficient with, is a 9 out of 10 to play. It is a tough class to play. It manages 3 different weapons, like I said, but you've got to manage skills and cooldowns for all 3 of those different weapons. It's going to switch, as you switch your ability, it's going to switch your skills and your cooldowns as well. So for example, I mount my class ability to a thumb mouse button. I would be on my dual pistols and I'd use my dash ability to get behind somebody. I would use my thumb button to switch to my shotgun, double blast the dude from behind with a shotgun, do a shit ton of damage, roll out, and then snipe him from afar. But you've got to make sure to be flipping between those guns and making sure you don't overdo it or underdo it and screw yourself in the moment. But they are a strong class, and like I said, if you're good with that class, you'll be able to excel. The Gunslinger is virtually the same thing as a Deadeye. I'm not going to dive into her too much, but just know that her sniper is slightly better than the Deadeye, and she has a couple different moves on pistol. That's one thing I wish that the Western release did a little differently. I kind of wish they had kept her or him out of the loop and maybe added a new class altogether. There's so many classes that are so cool that are coming. The nice thing about this game is all the classes are effing awesome. All right, but next, let's dive into my personal main, the Artillerist, or what used to be called the Blaster. I wish they would change the name back to Blaster, but go with a 6.5 on this class in PvE. But in order to master or even play them in PvP, it is a 9.5. This class is not made for PvP at all. It is very well known in Lost Ark. It's sad for me because I do love PvP, I do love PvE, and I just love this class, so I'll likely be maining this class. They have very strong, hard-hitting moves, but the main thing about this class you have to realize is a lot of their moves are on timers. So you'll plant a mine, a rocket will rain out of the sky, 3 seconds later. It's just great for PvE, very strong, top-tier damage in PvE, one of the strongest, I'd say. The next subclass under the Gunners is the Sharpshooter. The Sharpshooter wields a bow and is very typical of your Ranger class in any game. They can be strong in PvE. They won't be the top tier, but they can excel in PvP if you're good with them. They're that in and out hit play style, go invisible, throw your pet. It has a pet hawk. You know, use your flashy bow moves, stay at range. Like I said, can be pretty top tier in PvP if you're very good with them. Tough class to play. Closest to, I'd say, you'd expect an old assassin with some of his moves. Push opponents away, hit them from afar, keep poking at them, just slightly stabbing at them, go invisible, throw knives when they get up close. Still an 8.5, pretty tough to do well in PvE. In PvP, they can be good. If you're good with them, they can be pretty strong. The final class I want to dive into that my big head is covering is the Assassins. So we'll go in here right now and check out these subclasses. So first, we'll dive here into the ShadowHunter. The ShadowHunter is similar to how they sound. They can tap into demon abilities, right? So they will be throwing, they have 2 knives. They'll be able to throw laser beams and pull people in with demon arms and become a demon as their class ability turns them into this red demon that's able to use a whole set of different abilities. They're a strong class, very mobile, very strong in PvP, can be good in PvE as well. You know, like I said, I've seen really bad ones, but I've seen incredible ones. So it ultimately just relies on how good you are at understanding this kind of a class, this thief, get in there, pull people around, move them with your abilities. That's one thing that's really strong with this assassin class is you can push very frequently and kind of manipulate the crowds to your liking. In terms of PvP, I'd say they are a very strong class as well. You know, won't be always top tier damage, but they will be hitting strong single target damage when they need to and getting out to avoid getting hit, which can be just as important as dealing damage in PvP. The final subclass I'm going to talk about is the DeathBlade. So the DeathBlade is going to have a longsword and a set of daggers. So different abilities will use different moves. They can swap between them to do different combos, deciding the right time to do different abilities. Very strong class to get in and get out, similar to the ShadowHunter. The key thing about this class is you're going to want to deal a lot of damage in a short amount of time and then get out and be away. Let your cooldowns come back. It's going to be similar to how all, you know, assassin-type characters play. You're going to feel right at home if you play an assassin with this or the ShadowHunter. This one just requires a little more technical skill. I wouldn't necessarily say it's better in either. It's almost, in my opinion, similar in both to the ShadowHunter. It's more so what kind of abilities, what kind of feel do you like more? Do you like heavy-hitting, shadow, manipulating crowd moves, or do you like high, strong sets of damage in short amount of times and then be out with your movement abilities just to reduce those cooldowns and then go back in and rinse and repeat and hit from the back? Always be hitting from the back as these classes. So there you have it. That was all 14 classes being released in the Western release of Lost Ark. I want to make another note that this is just simply my opinion. What you need to realize is just play a class that you like the looks of, you like the feel of, you like that specific class, that subclass, because there are so many balance patches in this game. This game takes balancing very seriously because there's a very intensive pro scene and also a lot of content. There is so much content in the end game. The end game is everything in this game. This story is a grind, I will admit it. But you've got to get to the end game. It is a lot of fun. The story is just to teach you your class, get a feel for the abilities you like. You can reset your abilities at any time and respec. But like I said, play a class that you enjoy. Find something that's going to be interesting for you. Maybe you're playing with friends, try to build a team comp. Remember, ults are a thing. They're going to be very important in endgame. You are going to very much want a bunch of different classes. But if you want to be very fluid and smooth and efficient, you can build a multitude of the same class and skyrocket your character to the top. I don't suggest doing that because it can make the game a little mundane. Although there's so much content, why not try all these amazing classes? It's so much fun. Like I said, just my opinion. This stuff's going to change at all times. I just was hoping this would kind of give you a feel of difficulties and how they feel and kind of how they are in a nutshell. Didn't want to spend too much time. I will be making a plethora more of this kind of content in the future. Lost Ark is very much going to be one of the main games, if not the main game that I play, and only game, depending. When it releases in the fall, hoping for early fall, obviously, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Go follow my links below. Hit me on Twitch. Come watch me stream various games. Sub to my YouTube, Twitter, you know it all. Instagram, I'll see you guys. Thank you very much.